Smoke rising from a blast was heard at reactor number 3, smoke rising from reactor number 1. We have Jim Walsh, our nuclear expert, CNN contributor, standing by. Jim, what does this tell you? What does this tell you, Jim?
Well, as soon as you started to say that, Cooper, I said unit number 3. The government had been earlier concerned that hydrogen was building up. Remember, at unit 1, we had an explosion. It turned out that explosion did not compromise the core facility, but the same process. What we're seeing, it's deja vu all over again. We lose a cooling pump. We have problems at one reactor. The hydrogen builds up. Then it explodes. That happened at Unit 1. Apparently now that's happened at Unit 3, and we're going to have to assess how significant the damage is. Hopefully it's just the outer structure, the concrete of the building itself, and has left unaffected the reactor and unaffected the containment vessel, because if it were to affect those things, that would be bad news. And by the way, they're actively trying to pump seawater into that unit number 3 in order to cool it down. And so we're going to have to wait and see whether that's going to affect that process, and that would certainly be unwelcome.
Jim, just hold on. I want to ask you a bunch of questions, but first I just want to ask my crew some questions. How far are we from Fukushima? North or? Okay, which way is the wind blowing? West. All right. I'm just concerned, Jim, if there's an event like this, you now have an evacuation zone around Fukushima of 20 kilometers, which is 12 miles. We're about 100 kilometers to the north of this reactor. Do you expect Japanese authorities to be expanding the evacuation zone?
It all depends on the particulars of this explosion. If this explosion,
should I get out of here?
Yeah, I hear you, Anderson. And of course, I want to err on the side of caution for you here. My guess is that you're okay, but I don't want you to sue me if I'm wrong. Yeah. But I'm inclined to think that you're okay, insofar as the government authorities had warned earlier that hydrogen was building up and that there might be problems with that. And so the most likely scenario is this is similar to what we saw yesterday, and if that's the case, then you should be fine. But, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty here, and we're not going to know for a little while.
There have been releases of, I guess, a gas, and correct me, I flunked science. So there had been releases yesterday, I think it was, and they had said that because of the way the wind was blowing, basically whatever was released went out over the ocean. What was released? Why were they doing those kind of controlled releases? If you could explain that to our viewers.
Sure. What happened is it's getting very hot inside that reactor core because they're not able to cool it down. And there's water, the water that's already inside there is getting boiled, and that as it boils, it turns to steam and to vapor, and then the pressure begins to build up inside the reactor. Well, you don't want that pressure to build and build and build and then cause some sort of problem, cracks or some large, melting of the nuclear material. So, it's not the best choice, but compared to the alternatives, the choice is to release some of that vapor, which is mildly radioactive. It's not the same thing as what might be released if there was an actual full-blown meltdown. It's mildly radioactive, and they're also able to screen it. In some circumstances, they're able to screen it so that they can pull out some of the radioactive material that is being released. But in any case, they release it into the atmosphere, and then hopefully it blows out to sea, but it's not going to be a major health threat. It's not welcome. You don't want to do that, but it's not going to be a major health threat, and it's certainly far better than letting the pressure build and build and build until something much worse happens.